Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here. Don't mind me, I'm just getting a little nostalgic because I'm thinking back on those good old days where I've had funny and unexpected moments that back then made me sad, angry, or cry, but now they just seem so silly and stupid that I can't help but laugh. Today, that topic is never the more paramount in What is a Funny and or Unexpected D&D Moment That You Will Never Forget Part 2. And if you got a moment you'd like to share, do so in the comments below because the algorithm gods must die and we're going to choke them to death with that sweet, sweet comment section. Love you all, let's get started. My players had a running joke where the trickery cleric would always try and tackle the dwarf blacksmith they were friends with whenever the party arrived back in town. I took this as a challenge. The dwarf made himself a suit of armor of magical strength and used it to avoid being tackled to the ground. I was not prepared for what the party did in response. Oh, the next time they arrived back in town, the trickery cleric summoned their duplicate and had the rest of the party keep watch for Founderson. They found him. The goblin player put Jotaro's theme on the music bot and the cleric approached, speaking what I later found out to be the fitness gram pacer test directly Google translated into Japanese. The harmless gag had evolved into a literal stand battle as the trickery cleric burned the armor of magical strength's charges with multiple illusion spells and actual tackle attempts with mirror image up. The party had planned the whole thing secretly and I had no idea. Hands down the best moment in that campaign, even topping the Goblin Zeppelin, the Goblin teleporting a dragon then slamming it on the top of a mountain, and the party drowning a phoenix with dust of dryness that I allowed them to make in bulk. Also, I don't know who you guys and gals are, but I love you. This group seems like a blast. Group's first encounter with Fae, and none of them have ever heard of a red cap. I basically described a red garden gnome with a big old stompers, and they just lost it for like an hour. It was great. Took them by surprise when that shitty ass gnome kicked the paladin in the nuts and did a whopping 32 away from max damage and laid him out flat, killing all of his future generation and kin, I'm sure. We'll never forget it. Happened last night in my campaign I'm DMing. The party is in a dungeon, and they're fighting a variety of zombies, skeletons, giant zombies and skeletons, some shadows, which they defeated almost immediately because, well, I rolled like crap all night long. And just for fun, I threw a couple of cloakers in also. You're a very cruel DM, and I love it. Of course, what was supposed to be a semi-challenging combat ended up being a bust, as my enemies got mowed down before they got a chance to do, really, anything. But that's fine. The party felt like they actually accomplished something, so that was good enough for me. The relevant members of the party in this nonsense are Thurda, the Dwarf Rune Knight Fighter, and Ignacio Razmanua, the Blade Singer Wizard. The party just calls him Raz for short. Both of them have been hasted, and Thurder used Giant's Might to make himself larger, though he wasn't large size because he did it while they were in a narrow hallway. The last two enemies alive were a cloaker and a single skeleton I had forgotten about because he was standing under the cloaker while the cloaker was flying above one of the players and I couldn't see the skeleton's token. The player shot the cloaker with an eldritch blast and knocked him back 10 feet. Well, since it was above him, that kind of knocked it 10 feet up. Now it's at 15 feet up, and the next party member in the initiative order, Raz, couldn't hit it without dropping out of blade salt. So he says, if I run up to Thurder and have him shield toss me like they did in Wonder Woman, can I jump up and attack the cloaker? Everybody starts cracking up, and admittedly I was too because I thought it would be hilarious if it worked. So I said, sure, roll acrobatics to see if you can position yourself properly after the jump, and Thurder, roll athletics to see if you can throw him high enough. Raz rolls a nat 20 for a total of 27, and Thurder rolls a nat 19 for a total of 28. I start laughing and tell Raz to roll crit damage. He doesn't even need to attack at this point because they far surpassed the DCs for this nonsense, and I didn't think he could miss the cloaker with his blade song active anyway. Then I described the scene. Raz, you charge towards Thurder and jump up, with Thurder catching you by 1 foot and shot putting you through the cloaker. As your charged rapier pierces clean through the creature, followed by your entire body, the creature tears apart in a mixture of blood, fire, and lightning sparks. I deleted the cloaker's token and realized there was still a skeleton underneath it. Raz, you're now 20 feet up. Roll a dex save to see if you land on your feet. He rolls a 15 and I mute my mic and start giggling. Raz, you come down and try to twist around to land on your feet, but instead land on the skeleton, who catches you in a princess carry. Both of you look at each other very confused for a moment, and you both take 4 damage from the fall. I believe you have 2 more attacks this turn. With his next attack, he stabbed his rapier through the skeleton's eye socket, and I said, "You stab your rapier through the back of the skeleton's head. Then the lightning charge in your blade sparks, and the skeleton's head explodes." The whole party spent the next 2 minutes cracking up about the Princess Carrie skeleton. And by the way, casting haste on a blade singer is stupid and ridiculous, and you should totally do it if you have one in your party. I just don't expect your DM to be very happy about it. I know, I'm the DM, and it's my NPC who keeps casting haste on the blade singer. I hate myself. Also, I'm actually kind of shocked. I thought that skeleton would have been more relevant. I mean, make him an NPC to follow around the party, just catching people now. This is a long one, that's what she said. I play a dwarf Oath of Redemption paladin that worships a homebrew god named Judo. This god is big on preserving the natural balance of things and insisting that their paladins be totally impartial when dealing with conflict. Paladins deal with the law. Clerics deal with morality, at least for Judo. Anyway, the party was in a fight with some beasties. I had just gotten an extra attack, so I was going completely ham, swinging my maul around, generally having a good time. One of my traveling companions positioned one of the monsters below me, as I was on a ridge about 15 feet above them. I usually play fairly conservatively without a bunch of wacky stuff, because our DM is super creative and hilarious when stuff goes sideways. My turn comes up, and I wanted to finally take my chance to be a fantasy badass. All right, you're up. What are you doing? I'd like to jump down from this ridge and make a big swinging maul strike down on their beastie with their first attack. The DM was taken aback. Amazing. Let's see it. Well, I rolled a nat 20 and... Holy crap! I'm adding smites and all that. Fantastic. So, the beastie looks up and sees this furious dwarf falling out of the sky, looking like an avenging angel, clad in steel. The maul, encased in holy light, smashes through the beastie's head, doing some absurd amount of damage. The beastie looks like crap, but it's still up. You still need to make a dexterity save to land before you continue your turn. Me, with a -1 dex mod, rolls a nat 1. So, is that a 0? The DM was barely holding it together. Hilarious. So, okay, you take some bludgeoning damage from the fall, but somehow you hit a particularly soft spot of dirt and sink up to your armpits in the ground, much like you've been buried in Smash Brothers. You can make your second attack if you want, but it'll be at disadvantage. Alright, well, the dwarf rolls 2 nat 20s. What? I'm adding what I have left and burning all my slots on whatever because it's dying right now. The other players have collapsed on the floor laughing at this point, and the DM, which is completely unprepared for this, says, "Is this a fucking joke?" Alright, you raise your eyes to look at this horribly maimed beastie who is barely clinging to life, skull nearly bashed in. You give it your most fearsome look, your eyes filling with silvery blue light as your god makes their presence known. You reach out your maul, struggling just a bit because you're up to your goddamn armpits in dirt, and you manage to lightly tap the big toe of the beastie. It cries out in agony as radiant light rips through its body. leaving a Rorschach blot of viscera on the mountain wall behind it. The beastie is dead, initiative is over, and I will never, ever play this game with you again. This DM had his head in his hands, shaking with suppressed mirth. Will someone dig me out of here, please? Other players look at him and just say, eventually, don't worry. TLDR, crazy dice rolls lead to cool stuff. And then even cooler stuff, aka dwarf kill monster, but look like a dummy doing it. We were hunting down some kobolds in an old mine at level 4 when they started chanting, None of us knew Draconic, so we didn't know what they were chanting. Next thing we know, a young red dragon swoops up the vertical mine shaft. Now the DM was probably expecting us to talk, as we were pretty clearly outmatched and somewhat low on resources. However, my character panicked and cast Tasha's hideous laughter on it. The dragon failed to save and fell 200 feet back down the shaft. Oh, it didn't kill it, but it hurt it pretty bad. And there was no talking our way out of this fight now. It knocked 2 of us out on its first breath. Fortunately, we had some overpowered NPC tag-alongs, TOA, so between them and the rest of the party, we managed to kill it. I was the dragon's primary target though, so I spent most of the fight unconscious. TLDR. One first level spell did 50 plus damage to the enemy and nearly wiped the party. I was running a high level, they started at level 17, mini campaign with a pair of married liches, and the final bosses. Husband put up a prismatic wall to protect his wife while she finishes up their god-killing ritual. He's been dramatically floating over a pool and gloating about it for about a round when the druid asks me, "Hey, we're level 18. We've probably fought a beholder before, right?" Yeah, sure, why? I'm gonna use shape change, become a beholder, and turn on the anti-magic cone. Oh, that's brilliant. What was originally a serious, intense fight became extremely silly very quickly. The husband's lich's glamour and flight spells were suppressed, so he lost all his youthful looks and got dunked into a pool of holy water, which did nothing mechanically but was hilarious flavor-wise. The blood hunter jumped in after him, but as his weapons were rendered non-magical in the cone, he couldn't actually harm the lich with the attacks that hit, as liches are immune to non-magical weapon attacks. And so just flavored it as him shoving the lich under the water over and over, like a high school bully. The blood hunter, however, had no such immunity, and did get very much stabbed by a desperate lich with a mundane dagger. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. I loved this video. The whole topic, every story in this one made me giggle, smile, ear to ear constantly. So thank you for that. Make sure to leave a like in compensation, to subscribe as well, and to roll a nat 20 on that ringing the bell, because if you don't ring the bell, you won't get notified because YouTube kind of sucks like that. And, of course, leave a comment down below telling us about your funny and or unexpected D&D moment. That is completely unforgettable to you because we want to know and it might make it in a video soon. That said, come say hi to me too, Brian Von VA, over on Twitch. You can find the link to my Twitch and mostly to any other socials I have in the description below under my website. And if you want to hire a voice actor, well, you can just, you contact me through that or show that around to people that you know who might need a voice actor because I'm down 100% down. I love working for people. That said, I just want to say thank you guys and gals and everyone in between for, well, giving me a good laugh. I've been pretty happy lately and more laughs the better. Just fuels the emotional, bag completely full of happiness. And I'm grateful for that. And I hope that everything I do can kind of bring that back to all of you too. I love you all. So please look after yourselves for me and mostly for yourselves and be safe out there. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.